Hi everyone, and welcome back to Founder Sessions. Joining me today is Owain Brennan of CRBI. Owain, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Good to be here. Yeah.
So Owain, let's get right into it. Tell me about CRBI.
Yeah, sure. So CRBI, essentially, we're a business intelligence and data science company. I used to call ourselves an agency, but we're not really an agency anymore. So I'm just calling us a company now to be the go-to. Essentially, yeah, we're currently focused on the maritime sector, which I'll go into a little bit more later. But that's kind of where my background is. So we started the company, myself and my fiance, based on providing business intelligence and machine learning to specifically just maritime. But now that's expanding a little bit. We're looking at the product side instead of the agency side now. Really just a culmination of both of our experiences. So my partner's Hannah as well. She's our head of operations. And yeah, it's kind of, we're 7 months in now. So we're just kind of, we grew very quickly and there was instant demand for it there. So we very quickly got to 13 staff and we had great support from local communities around us. And it was kind of evident that the solution needed to happen. We kind of skipped the kind of initial startup phase, which was nice. We kind of instantly went into scale up, which was a weird switch for me. I've kind of run a few things, run a few small businesses and been part of small businesses before. But it was a complete switch of mindset and that happened quite quickly. So yeah, that's where we are now. We've got a few customers on board. We're looking at expanding in different areas. But yeah, providing business intelligence, so data dashboards. A lot of people are familiar with data dashboards now. I've seen them and things like that. I think there was a lot of a lot of people got to know them throughout COVID. Unfortunately, with the BBC News, we're quite on it with the COVID dashboard every day. So they saw the interactive graphs and everything, people could go online. So essentially that kind of COVID dashboard thing we can do for essentially any industry that we've looked at so far, and pulling data sources in from all over, be that operations, marketing, sales, actual logistics, Internet of Things sensors, and showing them in one place to drive decisions. And then we have the fancy machine learning, artificial intelligence stuff that, yeah, it gets complicated, but it does stuff as well.
You're 7 months, and
yeah,
as you said, you quite rapid growth as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're tackling a real problem that there's no real solution to, the demand from day one is going to really be there. How did you cope with that demand? Was it just like the process, or was there a little bit of a learning experience?
Yeah, definitely a learning curve. So I knew that when we founded the company, I knew some initial problems in the maritime industry that were there. So I knew there was a problem to solve, which was a great place to start from founding a company. Starting with a problem to solve. So I went to kind of solve that issue, which was mainly around maritime uses a lot of paper. So automating processes was the initial look into it. So yeah, I kind of saw that issue. And then when we solved that with kind of one customer, we kind of just scaled from there, and we realized a lot of companies have this same issue. Yeah, we took on the staff, which meant that I didn't have much time to do the business intelligence and data science stuff. So I very quickly went from doing data science to pretty much being a salesman at that point. So I'm currently kind of the only salesman in the company. So I'm pushing all the sales forward while the data scientists and the business intelligence analysts kind of do all of our work as well. And I kind of inform on those from a maritime point of view. But yeah, so it's that weird switch of mindset to like, oh, I'm starting a company for the next year. I'm going to be programming. I'm going to be building these dashboards, to then instead, no, now I'm doing sales and I'm managing a team and finances and legal and everything else. So yeah, it was a weird switch personally for me, but for the team kind of put up with it really well as well. They know that kind of this is my first time doing something like this. So they have accepted that it isn't an easy journey. I don't think anyone that goes into working for a startup, everyone knows it's not going to be as seamless as going to work for a Microsoft or something. We don't have the perfect onboarding process, and we don't have to, and everyone knows that. You don't have to get everything perfect, first of all, which I think was a bit the learning curve and steep for us. Yeah, I think we tried to set down things like, we obviously got the important things like contracts and employee handbooks and things like that, which helped us scale quickly. Amazing local company called HR Alchemy helped us with all of those. But then we kind of, once those are set up, you have your initial things, but then so big companies have things like, oh, you'll be given a map and a tour around the local area, and you have your car parking spaces, you have all this stuff. But because you're a startup, it's we'd love to provide everything, but we can't, and everyone knows it. And it's a good kind of spot to be in.
No, I relate big time on that one. When we hired for our startup, I went deep into like employee onboarding and things you should do, and they were like, oh, like host a little get together and things like that. It's like, right, Right, okay. And it's like doing big tours of offices, and I'm just like, well, here's your station, here's the toilet. If there's a fire, this door. Then you sort of just
now we have to do work because we're really busy and you have to go.
Accelerate the onboarding process. No, it's brilliant. I mean, you say that you come into this thinking you'd be programming each and every day, but now you're very much in a sales role. Do you have any sales background at all, or was it sort of just learning on the job?
So my background, I did a bachelor's degree in business management with marketing. That had a sales module in it. We kind of learned the golden rules of sales and the platinum, and we designed some of the sales processes. So before I opened this business, I co-owned and managed a whiskey bar as well. So kind of not kind of a big technology sales thing, but you kind of are constantly selling in that kind of point of view as well. But yeah, no formal sales things. So kind of our sales process I've pulled together from different sources, just read lots of books and researched a lot, pulled on the kind of local people that have done it in the past, business mentors that we've had, and asked them about their sales processes. But it's easy when you're solving a problem that people have. It's less of a sale. Everyone knows that things like automation and data science, everyone knows that it's coming. So it's quite easy to get in front of people's faces when they know the issue's there and they know that you have the solution. It's less sales. It's more just explaining data science, which when you understand the technology, you can do. Yeah, the kind of difficult part I had was getting a initial contact list, which obviously it was coming to the end of COVID when we started. It's obviously still going on, but things started to meander off. So when we first started, we didn't have things like the networking events weren't really going yet. Everything is virtual still. But now we're starting to get that bit more traction where we can go to networking events, we can be face-to-face with people. And that's a lot easier. I find it a lot easier doing sales like that face-to-face, especially when you're explaining complicated things like data science, machine learning and all of that. Doing that virtually. I like drawing and using hand signs a lot. So doing that virtually doesn't really work. You blur out a little bit. So yeah, it's much easier doing it at networking and physical events.
I think with sales, a lot of it is, your personal sort of growth as well, because you don't want to be like robotic when you're selling. It's like you got to put your own spin on it, and I think that's where your biggest learning comes in from sales, because you know how to sort of sell what you're doing, but also like dropping a little bit of humor there, or make a bit of a connection. It's that sort of thing.
Reading the body language, and if they actually understand. It's hard for me to be able to tell if people understand what I'm talking about when it's virtual, especially if they have the camera off. It's really hard to tell. I don't know if they're just like banging their head on a table or what's going on.
They're frantically Googling what you're saying. It's like, what is this? So you spoke a bit there, you're targeting the maritime industry. We spoke, I think, last week about that, and it's sort of such a big industry, lots of money being poured into it. But there's a lot of key things that they're kind of in the past with, so tell us about the solution that you're bringing to the maritime industry, and sort of where do you see that solution going, like other industries and things like that?
So essentially the main focus of the company initially was automating processes that currently take up hundreds of man hours. So a lot of it, things like freight forwarding, a lot of it's paper based, but a lot of companies are kind of bringing it onto digital now, which makes it easier from an automation point of view. So the initial systems we developed were things like machine learning, computer vision systems to be able to read handwritten text or read a PDF document into a computer so that we could use the data, store the data, analyze it. So there's that kind of initial thing that we had that we could show to companies. Companies got excited about it, immediately saw the value of it, rather than having someone sitting there typing up. They can actually use their brain for something rather than typing up words they see in front of them, saved a lot of man hours there. And then kind of once we've got that text in a digital format, we can then start automating a lot of that process. Things like people scrolling through a database to find a certain COM code or a container code or something like that to match with a thing that's handwritten on their desk. We can just do a database search and link that with that, send that email instantly, and it's automated. And rather than a person taking an hour to do this entire process, we can do 1 million in a second. It's the speed of computer. How fast can a computer go? So yeah, automating all of that process. But then you've then got the onward chain of that. Of now you have more data, and now you can analyze it, and that drives decisions forward. And then once you're analyzing data, we then have the onward process. Once you have a lot of data, you can build a machine learning model to do something interesting, and to neural networks. We can get to all that. No one really cares about that though. But yeah, there's kind of this onward chain of you have a paper document. Once you automate that, you can do something else with it. Once you do that, you can do something else with it. You can build more stuff. So everyone's kind of heard the term that data is the new oil. It's so valuable. And that's essentially what we're trying to show to the maritime sector now, is you have this huge amount of data. So mainly we don't really work with a lot of data. So we work in maritime. We mainly do port-based things. We don't do a lot of the things on the sea. It's port-based, making smart ports, collecting a lot more data in those ports and automating the processes that are there. Because there's a lot of really interesting data science already going on the sea-based things like automated ships and being built. Port of Rotterdam and starting to accept or building technology to accept automated ships. Ships all around the world are covered in sensors to track how they move on things, how the weather affects them, things like that. I've never really been in that space, so I don't know a lot about what's being built there. But yeah, this port-based side seems that there's a huge amount of opportunity there to automate and to save man hours and to build lots of interesting things with data. So that's where we started, and that's where we're building now. So doing it kind of as an agency to find out particular pain points, so common pain points in the industry. So we identified a few that we've built things to solve, but once we identify enough of them, we want to build some kind of solution that would be more of a product that we can sell and a product we can move. So that's kind of our flow of business. Essentially, we go into industries and we find common problems with data, we solve them as an agency, and that involves our product kind of driving as well. So we make sure that the product that we're building is actually based on real solutions, which kind of obviously people do that a lot founders do that a lot in things like B2C businesses. It's quite, you kind of build your MVP product, you show it to lots of people, you scale, you move very quickly. That can be difficult in B2B because you might not have as many customers. There aren't billions and billions of maritime agencies, well, as compared to like things like a banking app that you can move very quickly. There are billions of customers out there that you question, and we have to kind of do it as an agency to be able to find these solutions, find these issues that we can solve. And yeah, that's essentially the way we're doing, and we're moving into other sectors now as well, very slowly. But yeah, maritime's always kind of going to be the founding point of the company. And I think there's a lot more work that can still be done there.
Very cool. And if you can make a process that takes an hour, you sort of from a piece of paper, searching for an hour, if you can just, I'm a fan of Post-it notes, but if you can make that like instantly, just find what I was looking for, that's brilliant. And it baffles me that a lot of these big industries are kind of 10 years behind, even though looking in, they're really advanced, but they're still like certain practices.
Industry, they look like they're doing all this great stuff, and they are moving lots of stuff. And it's like 90% of the world's goods, your phones, your cars, tables, bottles, anything around you came on the sea. And you think that whole industry would be on it, but there are these things that just for some reason take a long time that don't have to. We have the technology there.
So Owen, how did you get motivated to start CRBI?
So it kind of came from a combination of experience. So I've kind of been working since I was about 14. I got my first job. I was always I didn't like working a job really, and most people kind of say the same. I was a dishwasher somewhere. It was like a kid's play thing. I used to wash dishes there, and then I was kind of an assistant chef for a bit, and just kind of going to work and doing these odd things. And kind of while it was quite interesting, while I was doing that, worked about 14-year-old. I was also at school. With the money from that, I used to buy sweets from a corner shop. Well, no, my mum used to actually run a sweet shop. And when we'd go to the things like Macro and like a sweet distributor kind of thing, wholesale, when she'd go buy things to the shop, I'd also, with my money from my job, buy sweets and then sell them in school. So yeah, I used to be one of those kids selling chocolate bars for 50p. And I quite liked that. I think I bought more things with that money than I did at the actual job. I used the job to pay for my other business that was going on. So I ended up buying a Xbox 360 when they came out, and a BMX and things like that. And yeah, that kind of process kind of instilled in me a little bit of what was possible. I wasn't really one of the, everyone, I think growing up in the UK used to watch things like The Apprentice and what's the other one? The UK version of Shark Tank.
Dragon's Den.
I never watched them growing up. So like I didn't really understand what entrepreneurship was kind of for quite a while until I was really into university. But I guess I was kind of a young entrepreneur in that bit, but I didn't really see myself as that, and I didn't understand that until then. But yeah, it was that kind of started the whole process. But then I got caught selling sweets, got shouted at, got a detention. So I completely killed my entrepreneurial spirit for a few years, because apparently I wasn't allowed to sell. So then I just didn't for a while. So yeah, that's at that point, that's when I kind of started to pick up computers and things a bit more. I've always been into things like video games and all of that. I think a lot of programmers start from the point that they want to make video games and then realize that there probably isn't much money in making video games anymore. And yeah, so I started from there, started programming in Python. That was about 12 years ago. Well, I'm 23 now. Yeah, about 12 years ago, I started programming in Python around secondary school. Very simple kind of things. I've kind of picked up and lost programming as I've been going. So I started that in secondary school. I went to college and I did computing, media, English literature, and music technology. So all kind of technology kind of based things again, because I had this quite interesting technology. I wasn't really I didn't like the idea of app development. A lot of people seem to go in that way. I like the data and the automation side of it and saving hours. So there's kind of that common theme running through. I did a bit of things on things like Fiverr doing programming and things like that. So again, that bit of not working with someone, having my own hours. But then when I finished college, I had a complete kind of loss of what I wanted to do. I had this weird mind that kind of, I didn't really know what entrepreneurship was as a thing. I knew didn't want to work for someone, but I hadn't really thought about starting my own business. So I didn't know what to do after college, didn't know if I want to go to university. So I did what everyone does at that point, and I went to Australia for 6 months. So I just left. I was like, I'll decide later on. I'll just go. Okay, I had a bit of money saved up from working odd jobs. I worked in a bar and things for a while, worked in a cocktail bar. So yeah, I kind of took that experience, went to Australia. I thought I was just going to be chilling on the beach in Australia, but ended up just working for about 3 months in a cafe. It was quite an interesting one, actually. It's called the Peanut Butter Cafe. It's a protein gym thing that's over there. I think they've got more chains of them now, but the family I worked for doing that, that was their kind of first step into entrepreneurship. And I remember the woman who ran that business was really into Gary Vee, and I'd never heard of him before. So that kind of introduced me to a bit more entrepreneurship stuff. And yeah, she was like, "Oh, your entrepreneurship." I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll read into this a bit. I'll listen to some podcasts." So yeah, that kind of introduced me a bit to it there. Came back from Australia, and then that's where I started working another kind of job just to plod money along, because I'd run out of money in Australia. And then that's when we started the whiskey bar. So it was me and my family. So my mum and dad kind of owned part of it. I owned part of it. I managed kind of the day-to-day of the bar. It was a micro bar. It was smaller than the room I'm in now. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, we ran that for about 2 years. So that's when I started to really get into, okay, I can work my own hours, I can do this stuff. While we were running the bar, I started my university degree. So I did my bachelor's in business with marketing, again, linking into this kind of, I was running a business, so I thought I had to do a business degree. I probably didn't have to be honest, but it was a really good experience anyway. So that was at Teesside University. So yeah, I ran the bar throughout that, and we ended up making a profit with it anyway. I say it was only open weekends. It was like very low cost rent. We had to buy our initial stock, and people drink alcohol, so it's not much of a sell anyway. So you just, but I got really into whiskey then anyway. It's good. And then yeah, kind of gaining my confidence a bit there. I was never that confident, but working the bar, you have to be. So yeah, I did quite a bit of that. The bar unfortunately had to close after 2 years due to COVID. So I was kind of, oh no, I don't have a job. I'm going to have to go work a proper job now instead while I'm at university. But I had a really good opportunity with Teesside University, and they took me on as a lecturer. Turned out I was quite good at this whole business marketing thing. So they hired me as a digital marketing lecturer, which I did. Well, it was entirely over Zoom. I never actually lectured anyone in person, which was interesting. I was just in my pajamas the whole time lecturing people. I was a pajama wearing lecturer at that point. So I helped design that course with one of the lecturers at the university. We delivered it once physically, and then COVID happened, and then it was all virtual. So we did all that, and that was really good kind of academic point of view. It was quite good. But then as I was working with this lecturer doing this digital marketing thing, he was really into data science, and kind of I was programming all the way through these experiences and kind of keeping up with the technologies. But he really pushed me back into data science. I ended up doing my university dissertation in. I had to fight the School of Business to let me do it in data science instead. I had to like spin it and say, oh no, it's a data science applicable to businesses because businesses have to use data science. I just wanted to write about data at that point. So yeah, I was working at the university for a while. And then after I finished my dissertation, they went, oh, this looks pretty good. So they then hired me to do the same kind of it was a short course in data science, but I was lecturing or doing a bit of student support in that data side. So yeah, that was quite good. I was getting paid for that. And then that kind of takes us up to when we started the business. Oh no, while I was doing all that as well, I worked for a company called the High Tide Foundation. So that kind of happened first year of university. I started as a volunteer for about 6 months at the High Tide Foundation, which is essentially, it started as a maritime charity to help students get into the maritime sector. And then it's kind of expanded into different areas, finance, law, digital, marketing, and things like that. So I did that kind of volunteering for 6 months. They then liked what I was doing, so they hired me as a marketing executive. So this is while I was also doing the lecturing stuff as well. I know I've skipped around the story there a bit, but this is during university. So yeah, I was with the High Tide Foundation. I was with them for about 4 years. I went from marketing executive to project coordinator and then kind of marketing manager as well. So I was doing all the marketing output. I was recording podcasts like this, interviews with lots of CEOs and things in the maritime sector and law, which gave me a lot of experience, speaking experience. So I got to speak to kind of founders of companies, managers in all different levels. And then kind of the work experiences we went on during there too were really helpful for me. So because we were a company that sent students on work experiences, I got to go on all of them. So I mean, I got to go to like 6 different law offices and like loads of different finance offices and engineering and maritime. I got to experience. I was kind of a jack of all trades at that point because I probably went on more work experiences than anyone in the world at that point. I was everywhere. So I went to most businesses in the Tees Valley, which was really cool, seeing inside of things like warehouses that were taking all the goods for Asda and all of that. That was great. But yeah, then I left. When I left High Tide, that's when I started CRBI. So it was all this kind of culmination of working in the maritime sector there. While I was there, I also did some kind of offhand work for the companies we were working with to do some data analysis. It was the lecturer that showed me into data science. I then also started my master's in data science too, which is going on part-time still. And then, yeah, it's this big mess of stuff that kind of came together. I was never into the whole entrepreneurship thing, but I was kind of meandered into it, I feel like, and saw the opportunities that were there. And yeah, kind of, this is where we are now.
It's cool. You can see all that sort of experience and stuff in what you're doing now. But it's not just that experience, it's those sort of connections as well that you've built up along the way. I want to go back on the selling sweets in school because you've just spawned a memory in my head here. I went to school with a kid that was that lad who selling Kit Kats and cans of pop at lunch and things, and now he is a personal trainer, which I find very ironic. So he fattened us up in secondary school, and now we're all his clients. So.
Supply and demand.
But no, it's brilliant, and obviously. The university has played a nice part in this. It's seemed to support you along this journey. How important has the university been just for your personal growth and your professional growth?
Yeah, it's kind of been vital. As I said, it's I kind of joined that university course originally, my bachelor's in business management with marketing. It gave me a lot of experience. And then kind of the way that I joined the High Tide Foundation was through it's called Volunteers. So it was at Teesside University. So yeah, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to connect with everyone that I did there had it not been for Teesside University. So they came in at at that point, obviously that lecturer, Seer, he kind of reintroduced me to all of data science. We wouldn't be able to do it without him. There's some other amazing lecturers in the School of Business as well, things like Fenny, she's great. And kind of these kind of pivotal people within the university that can really push things forward. And the business school as well, it was brand new when I went there, the new building and everything, so that was all nice. So that's been great. But as kind of I believe they're the best in the Northeast. It's going to be a bit controversial for entrepreneurs. And they have these amazing programs, things like Digital City run by David Dixon, and this Launchpad building I'm in now run by Steve Dugan as well. They give amazing support for businesses. So this room I'm in now, it's quite a big office. We've got houses over that. And then, yeah, this huge office space we pay £100 a month here for rent, electricity, water. We have a kitchen, everything. We have 24-hour access. Amazing for a startup to be able to do. And in this hallway as well, we've got, I think there's something like 12 businesses down that corridor. So opposite us, there's a marketing agency. Next to them, there's a company called Presca, that make cycling clothes out of recycled bottles. I've got a coffee fountains company next to me. There's the cybersecurity agency. So there's all this kind of activity of entrepreneurship going on. And if I need cybersecurity, which we do as a data company, we can go across over to SendCode. If I need marketing, I can go to Constantine Media. And so there's kind of all these opportunities around us to collaborate. And we have things like our Foodie Thursdays as well, where we can we all meet together and just chat once a month and kind of go through problems, which is really nice. But yeah, it's a great place to be as a business. And there's some amazing programs for startups as well. Like we've taken on 4 interns from the university. So those are master's students who the university pay. They come work for us. They get great work experience. Hopefully we can hire them and when their term ends as well. So there's all those opportunities, and kind of as a startup 6 months old, 7 months old now, and being able to have fully funded master's degree students come in, it's a huge opportunity for us. It allows us to take on a lot more and kind of up what we're doing. And yeah, we hope to hire all of them that come through as well. But yeah, there's amazing opportunities for collaboration in here, and the kind of the boards that run the boards that are part of the business school. They're all local businesses as well, things like PD Ports, Franz, there's Jessica Williams from a local sales company as well. There's kind of a lot of actual businesses that inform what goes on in the business school. And then there's the whole School of Computing as well, which I'm part of for my master's in applied data science. They're working on cutting edge technology. And yeah, there's some really interesting data science and data science lecturers happening in there too. So yeah, I think it's a great place to start a tech company, but any company as well, really. And then Teesside itself, great place for transport links, Freeport at Teesport, amazing opportunity, great for us as a maritime company, but great for any business that wants to import anything or work on the port. And then there's all the engineering, Tees Works, exciting stuff going on. Yeah, it's the university. I wouldn't be able to do it without university, essentially. Teesside University, yeah, been great. And then for further connections as well, things like networking events, connecting with people like Dominic Lusardi. Kind of met him through a few different places, but he's my business mentor now as well, so he's been pivotal to a lot of the stuff I've done. And yeah, we kind of meet with him weekly to work through what's going on, and they're connecting with other people as well. It's good place.
No, it's fantastic. And I went to Teesside as well. I was on the games courses as well, but just the amount of support and sort of what's on offer there. You know, some students don't even scratch the surface of what's available in their universities, but Teesside was very upfront about it. It's like, we've got this, and this is how we support you. Yeah. And I don't think I've seen the building that you're in, but I've heard about it. And
yeah, Victoria building. That's great.
Yeah, looks brilliant. And
recently it's an old Victoria building from the outside. It looks like a big Tudor house thing. It's an old school. But they recently did like a 1.3, I think, £1 million refurb. So all like the walls have been painted and everything, and we've now got heating, which is nice. It's good.
And also in the news recently, you've joined the NVIDIA Inception program. Do you want to just talk us about that one?
Yeah, so that kind of happened over the last 2 months. So anyone that doesn't know, NVIDIA, essentially, if you buy a laptop, it's either got a blue, red, or green sticker on it. Blue's Intel, red's AMD, green's NVIDIA. Big company, make GPUs and everything. World leader in machine learning, which is why I've been so interested in them. So yeah, they kind of lead a lot of what's going on in the data science, machine learning sector. So I kind of started, when we started the company, I was like, okay, we're going to have to interact with them. Anytime you do machine learning training and things like Amazon Web Services, Azure, you have to use their things. And then I was scrolling through their website, I found this NVIDIA Inception program. It's essentially, it said for startups doing stuff in the data science space that need a bit of support. And I was like, oh, that's exactly me. I'll take that one. So yeah, we kind of applied. It was just through an online form. We had to go through a bit of an interview process. And then we got it. We kind of got the news, and it just kind of came through on an email, and we were like, oh, okay, we're in. So yeah, it's been, it's kind of those kind of things as well for any kind of startups or founders. Just apply for everything is kind of the process I've taken. We've won a lot of things that way. We're part of the Barclays and Eagle Labs thing. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it's their kind of startup help thing. And the Teesside University one, I just applied for everything through there. And then we're also, as a part of this one as well, I'll talk about after, but we're also a Microsoft partner now too, through the same kind of process, just reaching out to them. What kind of support can you give us? And taking all the support we can. And then now we're a partner of them, which means we're certified. But yeah, NVIDIA Inception's been amazing. So we get great support through them, access to all of their machine learning models and training with them. Things like emotion detection, so we can point a camera at a face and see what emotion they're telling. Not that helpful in the maritime one, but it's a really interesting one. Things like prediction models, route tracking, so we could plan when a truck leaves the port, we could plan the best kind of route that it should take to get to the next point without freight forwarding. And yeah, we're using the models that are in there now to help our clients currently, but we kind of integrate them into the products that we're building away from the agency side, and that's where they're going to be really powerful. So yeah, NVIDIA is a great one for those models. We have things like on-call technical assistance from them too. So if anything goes wrong or are a bit confused by something, we can phone them up and get support. And we got some amazing web credits and things like for AWS to use their computing, and we get discounts on things like hardware. So it's amazing for a startup to be able to access. And then there's all kind of the branding and marketing. From a marketing point of view, the fact that we can put the NVIDIA logo on our website and say that we're a partner has been great. And yeah, we got a lot of kind of press off of it as well, which is something I've never really done. Yeah, so I've found 13 places that kind of published it now. And yeah, it was about a week ago after it published. It was the first time someone came up to me at a networking event and knew who I was. And I was like, this is terrifying. What is going on? But yeah, there's kind of all those onward things that have happened. And kind of off the back of it as well, last week we heard that we've been shortlisted for the Tees Tech Digital Newcomer Award, which that might have been a part of it. But yeah, it's kind of all these PR things happening, which is good now. It's kind of, I say, we'll get a bit out of that kind of initial startup phase into the scale up thing, and that's played a huge part in that. And it's kind of funded none of the machine learning or AI or any of that training that we do on Amazon Web Services or Azure. It's kind of funded all that for the next 2 years essentially, which it's amazing for us from a growth point of view.
Yeah, it's like you could be sort of radio silent for months, and then you apply for these things, and then
it just kind of comes in.
Yeah, so it gets the ball rolling, and everyone wants to talk about you, and then
that's it for the first kind of 3-4 months. We did some initial PR. We launched as soon as we could, because I don't put that much weight on an actual launch. I can just go for it. So we launched, and a few people knew about us. I knew quite a lot of people within the local area through the high tide thing. I went around all these offices. My first few kind of months were revisiting all those people and saying, I'm not doing that anymore, I'm doing this. Although I'm still kind of involved with the high tide stuff. We do work experiences with students still, which is kind of a nice link still. But kind of my first few months of going, I'm not Owain, the project manager, marketing coordinator anymore. I'm Owain Brennan, the founder. Do you want some work now? Can we bring you on as a customer instead? So yeah, but this whole thing kind of really helped with that. Now that we've been in the news, people can kind of see us a different point of view. But yeah, we did go radio silent on everything for a while as we were just working internally with our first customers. But now it's coming to that point where we can go a bit more external and start putting more sales in.
I think you've got to, don't you, in the early stages, just get your head down and build something.
Yeah. Because if you just focus on PR the entire way through, then you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Do all the PR, then ask you, it's like, oh, what you do? Is like, oh, nothing. We've been too busy talking and chatting.
We didn't build anything, and we didn't get any technology. Now we just kind of got into it.
Brilliant. So, Owain, what's the long-term vision for your startup?
Yeah, so the long-term vision for CRBI, essentially, I want to move into more of the product-based side. I think the agency is always going to be there, and we're always going to kind of provide services that industries need as we're going to kind of spread into different sectors and build bespoke solutions, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for bespoke solutions. So we're always going to be in that space, but I love the idea of product instead, building things. So we're currently developing 2 products. One for maritime and smart port-based stuff, and another one that I can't go into right now, but will be launched about 3 months' time, hopefully. So if anyone follows us, you'll be able to see that. That's I'm trying to. It's more of a consumer-facing one, but it's still kind of B2B. Really exciting one. Lots of cool data science going on, and then kind of a web developer side, which I've never really touched, but our developers are great at. So yeah, it's moving into the product side is where I'd like to take CRBI. But yeah, as I say, that there is a huge amount of opportunity. I think there could be a lot more startups popping up everywhere doing things like data analysis. If you look at the amount of marketing agencies and social media agencies and things like that, every city's got 100 or so going on. And data analysis agencies, when everyone's kind of saying that data is gold and data is oil and data is really valuable and we should all be collecting data, when there's not that many data analysis agencies in the UK, really. I think you could probably about 500 or so ish. Might be a bit more or less than that. But I think there's a huge amount of opportunities all across the UK for data analysis agencies. Kind of every what I kind of see as every other agency is going to need a data analysis agency unless they hire internally. And yeah, so I think we're always kind of going to be in that space. There's always going to be opportunity. But yeah, I'm really excited by product and kind of putting these kind of things we've been able to access with things like the Microsoft partnership and the NVIDIA partnership, taking advantage of those to build into products that lots of people can use and providing a lot of value that way. I'd kind of like to move into the space. Obviously, maritime creates a huge amount of carbon emissions and things like that. So making that whole area more efficient with what we do, I'd love to kind of say we had an impact on that. There's a lot of things going on in things like automated ships and electric ships and things like that. But a lot of the time, ships end up wasting or putting out a lot of emissions, just kind of sat in port when they're waiting for all these things. The paperwork side, ships are just sat putting out emissions when they could be used much more efficiently. So I feel like the automation side that we do, hopefully we can have a bit of an impact on the environmental output of the maritime sector. And yeah, I'd like to say we have an impact on that. But yeah, that's kind of that's medium-term vision is the maritime side, but long-term products are good.
It's sort of the answer as well. We don't know. We're building these things. They could serve a purpose here. They could serve a purpose there. But you know, the core is the maritime. You know, the products could serve an industry that you haven't even thought of. This is sort of the exciting.
That's the thing like the automation processes. A lot of industries will have the same automation or like these file reading problems that maritime does. Yeah, we're starting to look at things like the pharmaceutical area as well. That they have the same kind of issues. We'd love to solve.
So Owen, I want to go back into you as a founder. I want to know what has surprised you the most about this lifestyle that we're in.
Yeah, it's surprised me. I think what surprised me most was how quickly I stopped doing the actual data science work and how quickly it switched to everything else. Obviously, when you start a company, you kind of know, okay, I need to do my financials, I need to do my legals, I need to do my business planning, my strategy, my people management, all this other stuff. But how quickly that switched from, okay, I'm not doing much programming anymore. I advise on projects and we do our like agile meetings and things like that. And I'm involved in all of those still daily. But actual sitting down and typing programming anymore and scripting, I'm not doing much of. So how quickly that happened has surprised me. But also, I feel like a lot of people say you need to spend like 18 hours a day on your startup and all of this side. So I expected to be spending, it's going to sound weird, I expect to be spending more time doing all that stuff. But I feel like with the amount we've been able, because we're a data science company, we can automate a lot of stuff. me and my fiance make sure we kind of have time to kind of get away from it. And I say get away. Things like when we went to Dublin this weekend, while I was sat drinking a pint in Dublin, I was thinking through these programming problems, making notes and messaging in the Slack still. So it's kind of not. I expect to be sat at my computer doing this work all the time. It's not. It's especially with things like data science and programming, taking that time to walk away. Every day I'll go for a walk down to the port and come back. And it's the fact that I'm able to have that time a bit more surprised by. I think when people outside just look at this entrepreneurship and Gary Vee style entrepreneurship thing, they think, oh, they have to this hard. I don't feed into this whole 5 a.m. rise and grind thing. I'm more of a what can be automated will be automated, and take the time to actually think about the decisions you're making. Because I think when you're in that kind of rise and grind and do things all the time space, you can slip up quite easily. But taking time to think through these really vital decisions is really powerful. Or else you'll end up doing things twice. I think that's kind of the problem, is that when you're on this kind of always grind thing, you're making a decision quickly, you're acting on it, you're going. But then it might end up probably being the wrong decision if you haven't thought about it. So then you have to do double the work, and that's why you're spending double the amount of hours doing the thing. If you just sit and think about the thing for 10 minutes extra and then go and do it, you'll save a lot of time that way. So yeah, I'm surprised by how kind of the time that I have available to be able to do that. But that kind of comes with choosing your own hours and things like that as well. Like if I have to work at 3 a.m. and do those things, or if I want to work at 3 a.m., I can do that. If I kind of want a few hours off at the end of the night and to think through things, or if I want kind of 20 minutes to walk to the port to think through a big legal decision, then I can do that, which is really nice to have that space and time to do it. And all of my staff have the same as well. We don't, if anyone wants to go for a walk or doesn't, we're quite hybrid and flexible with all of that. It's not just, I'm not saying it's just me as a founder that has that opportunity. Everyone has that too, which is, yeah. I'm kind of, we're building a lot on the kind of company culture side of it now. And we kind of have that space and the funds to be able to take a step back and build those things and a good process for that. And yeah, it all just takes time. It's good.
It's right. You're right, and it's so important. And yeah, the days are long, but the beauty is the freedom to choose when you work. Yeah. So I could, wrap up this podcast with you, and I could go do something else for a few hours, then come back. Or I could just jump straight into the next thing, work on it, then it's done. But it's that freedom of choice. Yeah. And I think it's so important. A friend of mine who is also a developer, the other week we had an event and he just disappeared for like 10 minutes and he came back. He goes, "Are you all right?" So he, "Oh yeah, I just had to send off some code." So it's like,
like we can work from anywhere and we can do anything. Like, I took my laptop with me when I went over the way this weekend, and I was like, okay, I can still do the work. And we were like, it was a big group of people, and I took my laptop to the airport and I was like working while we were there. It was like 5 a.m. or something, and had to get to the airport. And I was like, well, I might as well, like, we're all just sat at the airport, I might as well do the work. And they're like, "Oh, well, are you working now?" And I'm like, well, yeah, I have the time. I can work whenever. We can all work whenever we want as kind of founders and tech side and things. So just kind of fit the hours in where you can and where you need. And it'll all. It's managing your own time and essentially building a good workflow for that.
Yeah, it's so important. Just the work-life balance stuff. It's just so key, because I've seen so many founders burn out, and it's a very common thing. Burning out and not taking your time with things and thinking. I think the whole kind of Y Combinator startup thing is a bad side of that, where you see founders think their business has to be a success within 8 months, or else they give up and fail. Like, no, you can pivot. Just keep pivoting until you find the right thing. There's still in 6 months' time, this whole maritime thing might have completely dried up, and we might only be working with local ones when we want to go a bit more global, and that's when we might pivot to a different industry, or we might go completely product facing. And it'll still be the same company, and it'll still be me, and it'll still be hopefully the same staff. It's just kind of, everything doesn't have to be a great success, but you just keep pivoting until you find that. Yeah. So okay, so very true. And Owen, for you, what's been the most rewarding part of this? It could be 1, it could be 2. Just let me know.
Yeah, well, I think kind of the success initially felt really rewarding from kind of like an intrinsic value point of view. The fact that we were able to win these great partnerships with NVIDIA and Microsoft. And then the clients who've been able to bring us on as well. I can't say any names, but big kind of maritime clients and on some other sectors as well have been kind of really, it kind of gives you motivation to keep going, which is a good side. But I say that kind of whole having time to kind of spend time with my dogs and cats and my fiance and my tortoise. I don't remember that one. Don't forget the tortoise. Having time to be able to do that, and then it's been really rewarding, be able to step away and step back into the work when we need to do it. It's been great.
Awesome stuff. And for you, has there been any advice that you've been given that's really helped, or have you got any advice to pass on to the people watching and listening today?
Yeah, I did a bit of a quote for the Entrepreneurs Forum a few days ago about this. So I'll do the exact same one, which was somewhat, it's actually from, the initial quote is from Tim Minchin, the Australian musician. He did a speech to one of the Australian universities, and it was all around, I can't remember what university it was, but you'll be able to find the full video. It's all about be micro-ambitious, setting these kind of small incremental goals and celebrating these small little things. And rather than setting these big grand goals that you might never meet, is, I think, really important. And it kind of helps with that whole pivoting thing as well, because if you're looking at this very far away goal, like, okay, I want to completely automate the full maritime sector. If that's my goal, that's 5-10 years away. If I'm not celebrating anything for 5-10 years, I'm going to burn out. Of course I am. But if I'm kind of saying, okay, I want to sign on 2 clients and I want to work 3 projects, that can be done in a month's time. That's all right. Or if I say, okay, I want to make sure I have 3 breaks today and go get coffee, but yeah, I've had a good day if I can take a bit of time, and okay, if I finish these 3 things on my list, then I might have a glass of wine tonight. Like setting these small little things that being micro-ambitious and celebrating these small things, it's really important to kind of help us keep going.
Yeah, I totally agree. It goes right back to the mental health stuff. Just 3 little wins each day just keeps you that motivation to get through Monday, then crack on Tuesday. It's so important. And Owain, this has been brilliant. And, this has been an hour of founder sessions, and a pleasure to have you on. So this is the time for you just to tell people where they can find you online. What should they check out? Just let the people know.
Yeah, so you can find us at CRBI.uk is our website. So you can see some examples of the dashboards we've created on them, and there's some live ones on there. And you can kind of see the work that we do in the maritime space. But if you're kind of from any sector and you want to do anything data-wise, be it automation, neural networks, machine learning, any of that, then just please reach out to us on them. You can email me, just Owain at CRBI.uk. Also, we're all over social as well. We've recently started a TikTok account if you want to see kind of the growing space of the business too. And things like we have a tour around our office and when we've checked out the office spaces, and you can meet the team on there. Check out our TikTok account. So we're all over social. So if you want to follow us, and if you're in the maritime sector specifically, if there's anything that's slowing you down, all these old processes that you've kind of, as I've been talking, you've identified yourself, then please reach out. We'd be happy to automate and save you a few hours, a few hundred hours, a few thousand hours.
Fantastic. I need to get myself on TikTok. I need to get founder sessions on TikTok.
Yeah, it's an interesting platform, but we've had good engagement so far. And it's interesting telling the story and hearing other people's point of views and following other kind of creators on there too. It's been good.
Good stuff. But Owain, this has been Founder Sessions. Thank you so much for coming on. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been great. It's like a good talk. It's all right.
Fantastic. So from myself and Owain, this has been Founder Sessions, and thank you.